Good morning. This is Budi Raharjo from Padepokan Budi Raharjo. As I promised before, I'm going to talk about the recent 2024 Indonesia's National Data Center incident, or in bahasa Indonesia Pusat Data Nasional Sementara, temporary. Don't know why temporary. My presentation material is going to be in Bahasa Indonesia. The text is in Bahasa Indonesia, but I'm going to talk in English. Let me switch to my presentation. Okay, disclaimer plus. Disclaimer, I am not involved as part of the design, implementation of operational of and or investigation of this. So I got all the information from many sources, and I'm trying to deduce based on those sources, those information. Okay, let me get my face here on the screen. Wait. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, let's start with the chronology of the incident. On June 20th, the PDNS 2, this is apparently there is more than one. So this is the data center, temporary data center number 2. I'll get back on that. But anyway, at 4 a.m. in the morning on the 20th June 2024, immigration, they could not access their services. In Indonesia now these days, everything is electronic. So if you go to airports, airports basically in Jakarta, Soekarno-Hatta, for example, there's an auto gate. You can go through this auto gate using, electronic system. You put the passport, scan it, and then it goes through. It didn't work. And at the same time, the applications where you have to go through this immigration, it didn't work. So they contacted Pusat Data Nasional, contacted the National Data Center, why they could not access their services or their servers. And apparently there was a problem. And after that, other applications or other institutions or organizations that are using these services, they also noticed that they could not access their services. Here is an example of partial list of applications or organizations that could not access. The Arsip National, the Archive, National Archive, the electronic, procurement system, and so on and so on. And even I heard that there is an application for new students, universities requirement that did not work. So anyway, what happened was that the data center owned by ComInfo, the Ministry of Communication and Information, and hosted by Telkom Sigma, was hit by ransomware from a BrainChipper or BrainCyper, depends on your pronunciation, BrainChipper group. And the ransomware is apparently a variation of Logbit 3.0. Now, let's talk about the National Data Center first. I have no idea how it works because, again, I was not part of the design and so on and so forth. So apparently there are two data centers and one backup system. The one that got hit is in the one that in Surabaya. This is actually PDNS 2. And then there is also PDNS 1, question mark, there is. It is in Serpong, another city, and is managed by Lintas Arta, another company. And there's supposed to be a cold backup in Batam. We'll talk about this backup sites later on. Okay. So anyway, they found out that they were hit by ransomware. Okay. Now, the service, the PDNS service, the original idea long time ago that the government services, so this is government service. This is a service for government organizations. They used to have a co-location, meaning all these organizations, government institutions, they can have their own machines, and they bring their machines to data centers organized by Ministry of Communication and Information. But these days, you don't need a physical servers, so you get virtual machines. So everything is actually virtual machines, VM. Now, the VM itself, from what I heard, is based on VMware. The one, at least the one in PDNS 2, was or is by VMware. Now, I'm not really sure which part of the VMware that got hit. So here's kind of a topology or kind of an architecture of virtual machines. So we have a hardware instead of one system. Instead of many servers, say hundreds or 200 servers, which is very 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 cumbersome to manage. Today we have a cloud system whereby you have like a big hardware, not big in terms of not even the size, right? In terms of the capacity and capability. So you have a big hardware, and on top of that you put a host OS, be that Linux or Windows, it doesn't really matter. And then on top of that you have this hypervisor. Now this hypervisor is the one that VMware has. You can have other technologies other than VMware. You can have OpenStack, Proxmox, what else? But basically there are many hypervisors implementations. Now on top of this you have guest OSs. You have virtual machines. Basically you can install Linux, Debian, CentOS, Red Hat, or whatever you can also install Windows. So you can have many virtual machines. It depends. It is basically sorry, hang on a second. Yeah. I need coffee. Basically, on top of this hypervisor, you can have many virtual machines. You can install as many as you like. It depends on the capability of the hardware. So you can have 2, 5, 10, 11, 200, or whatever, even thousands. But if thousands, perhaps you can have more than one hardware, like physical machines. So anyway, you can have virtual machines on top of this. So this is one architecture. But since this host OS is not doing anything, basically the hardware is just running hypervisor, right? So there's no need to have this host OS. So you can take this host OS out. You can have an architecture, something like this. This is called bare metal. So you have the hardware, the bare metal, and then on top of that, you put hypervisor, and then that's it. So you manage the hypervisor through some kind of software or web-based application or whatever means. But basically, you manage these VMs on top of this hypervisor. Okay. So going back to the case, I don't know whether the one that got hit. Was it the hypervisor or the VMs? Because are the government institutions, they have access only to these VMs. So they were given several VMs, 1, 2, what have you. So yeah, they have access to these VMs, but they do not have access to the hypervisor. Now, my opinion, based on the news, the ransomware actually hit the hypervisor. Now, before that, there was a news saying that on June 17th, like 3 days before that, there is a security event that a Windows Defender, this is like an antivirus, anti-malware application, was disabled. My question is how and which part? Assuming this hypervisor is there, right? The hypervisor is there. My assumption is that the Windows Defender is actually part of this hypervisor. So somebody actually went inside this hypervisor and disabled the Windows Defender and then injected the ransomware. If the Windows Defender, the one that got deactivated, was this VM, so the attacker mainly had access to the VM. The attacker did not have access to the hypervisor. So maybe just one one organization or one institution that got hit by ransomware, but not the whole the PDNS. So because of the incident happened to the whole PDNS, so my assumption is the hypervisor, the one that got hit. So that's that, right? So that's the now because of that. So this is for those who are not familiar with ransomware. Because of that, because everything ransomware, but basically what it does is the ransomware encrypts the hypervisor, so you don't have access to the hypervisor, because if you want to access it, you need password to open it. You need password to decrypt it. Because of this hypervisor is in encrypted format, those guest OSs, they could not run on top of this hypervisor. So basically, you need keys. Okay. Now, in terms of the results, the effect, how much money, or if you have some kind of calculation, how much how big is the incident caused by this? I don't have the data. Okay, so I don't have the data. In terms of business process, I don't have the data. Now about the keys. And this one I read several postings, and one of the posts by Johannes, he actually went and looked into this situation, and he actually reverse engineered some part of this encryption. And then the hypervisor was encrypted with Babuk encryption. So with Babuk encryption, I read somewhere that Babuk is an encryption. Babuk ransomware is encrypted by AES 256. So this is more like a private key crypto system. But from what I understand from Johannes' post, it was encrypted with ECC curve 25519. So ECC is a public key crypto system. It's a bit different. I have to believe that the incident, the sorry, the encryption that was used is this one, ECC. The one is ECC. Now, how did the hypervisor got hit? Now, I read, say, from sample from Sentinel-1, from the kind of the web page here. It says Babuk ransomware is typically spread through phishing emails with malicious attachment or links, malicious downloads, software vulnerabilities, and remote desktop protocol connection. So, going back to the architecture. Okay, if we, and I should have described this diagram with that text. Okay, if the attacker went from malicious email, so somebody's reading email on top of this, and I think that's not the case, because there's no email application, there's nobody actually log in here and work here. So that was not the case. Phishing download, that was not the case, unless somebody's downloading something and install it in the hypervisor. That was not the case, in my opinion. So there were only two things. Which is, okay, remote desktop or some software vulnerability. So somebody actually had access to the hypervisor through network and exploit some kind of vulnerabilities. If that's the case, then there's a bad design in terms of the network, because you're not supposed to have access to the hypervisor directly. Usually it's behind some kind of firewall, jump machine or jump host or something like that. Or through remote desktop protocol. So there is some kind of web-based application, and the web-based application or the application that manages hypervisor was taken over. That's also possible, because I don't know what happens. These two, they might be the problem. Now, this is about the encryption on the hypervisor. In terms of the VM itself, and from the blog posts that I read, the VM was encrypted with Lockbit, a variation of Lockbit, and I add Lockbit ransomware, and the encryption I have no idea. Is it Salsa 20 or whatever? But this is just uh, uh, like my guess. My guess. I'm more concerned about the hypervisor because probably that's the one that is the main cause. So about the VMware ESXi. Oh, okay, VMware ESXi. This is the hypervisor by VMware on top of bare metal. So apparently, this was known like a year ago. Okay, so the Babuk itself, the Babuk encryption itself was leaking in 2021. So some people actually investigated how an organized ransomware works. Now, early 2021, Sentinel Labs, the one that I got, the one that I read in the blog post. So this is Sentinel Lab. It's one of companies that were actually monitoring this. Sentinel-1 observed an increase in VMware ESXi ransomware based on Babuk. So this was known in 2023. Now, if this is the case, then somebody should update the software, create a better SOP, because they should have known that this is a target. Okay. So now you got hit by a ransomware. What is the response? How come it took them like 4, 5, 7 days? Even right now, they're still trying to resolve this case. Why didn't they switch from the DC to the DRC, from PDNS 2 switch to PDNS 1? I don't know why. Why didn't they switch? Okay, we got hit by ransomware. Stop the DC and switch to DRC, right? Maybe the DRC itself also got hit by ransomware. So the main one, the DC, the main one, the Disaster Recovery Center also got hit. Maybe. But I did not hear any response about that. 2, this is what I heard. The technology behind DC and DRC, they're different. One is using VMware, and the other one is using OpenStack. That was the reason. Maybe that was the reason, because they're different in technology, so it is difficult to synchronize, back up, and restore. Maybe that's the case. The third one, there was no DRC, or maybe in the process of building. If that's the case, I think it's, to me it's unbelievable. You're running a production system with a backup system, and this is like a production system being used all over Indonesia. It's just, this is kind of the weird case in my opinion. That's why, I talked to some friends and they also got confused, because this is supposed to be like not an easy, right? This is supposed to have this is laziness, in my opinion. This is laziness. Pardon my language. So that was the first question. And then the second question, why didn't you resume from a backup, restore? So basically, you got hit by ransomware. Okay, now you reinstall everything and then restore from backups. Now there's another story. Apparently, backups were not done. In fact, many of the VMs or the institutions, they don't have a backup system. So this is kind of strange. As a provider of a cloud system, you should have backed up, your clients. So that's one thing. And the second, each individual VM, they're supposed to have backups. So if I'm running, say, I am an organization, say, if I'm Ministry of such and such and such, I should have my own backup, right? Even though I'm running on a cloud, say the cloud by PDNS, or a cloud by AWS, Google, Azure, or Alibaba, or what have you, I should have my own backup. Yeah, because that's my system. I have to have my backup. So again, this is a problem, and this is one of the biggest lesson learned. Okay, now this is what it gets stranger and stranger, kind of weird. weirder and weirder and weirder. On July 2nd, there was a posting here from Ministry of Communication. Sorry, I need coffee. Ministry of Communication and Information, Kominfo. So it's easier to say it in Bahasa Indonesia, I guess. Kominfo. From Kominfo, there is a posting that says the attacker, they sent an apology, a public statement apologizing for the attack, and they're willing to give the key or keys back without any payment, for free basically. They still have, we'll leave a Monero wallet for donation. If you still want to send us money, fine, we'll accept them, but you don't have to pay. So this is kind of strange. Usually ransomware groups, they don't really care about what they're doing. Okay, so this is kind of... Now, they said they're going to give you keys. Now, the problem is this. First, can the key actually opens the encryption? Meaning the key decrypts what have been done. Okay, so friends, some people tried this and they kind of created an encrypted version and use the key to open it. Can you open it? Yes, apparently the key can open. Okay, confirm. Now, second, is there a Trojan or another ransomware or whatever malicious software embedded in this key application, key decryption application? This is a question. And some people went through and reverse engineered the key, and they said, no, a higher possibility there is no Trojan or ransomware embedded or malware embedded in the application or key that was given. Okay. So that's the key to open the hypervisor. So if you open the hypervisor, everything is up and normal back to on the 20th or before that. Okay, so everything is supposed to be there. Now the VMs, the VMs on top of this hypervisor, are they also encrypted? From what I understand, some of them were encrypted, but using different kind of keys. Maybe not all, but some of them, or maybe all. I have no idea, because right now we're discussing the hypervisor, right? Okay. So what Kominfo offered is they reinstalled everything. They restarted the hypervisor and they restarted the VMs, and you're supposed to install again the VMs after kind of hardening your own VMs, and hypervisor was hardened. Okay, I'm going to skip this part. Okay, now I don't have a timeline. This is in the in progress. I should have created a timeline here, like from 17, 19, 20th, and so on and so on, up to July 4, up to now. I have no idea what's going on right now, whether they're running it based on a hypervisor or configuration that was decrypted using the key, or whether they're running it using a fresh install of hypervisor and all this fresh install of the VMs. I don't know what's going on these days. Okay, now there's another issue that says the server or the data, the National Data Center was being accessed using a weak password. This was not true. This was one of the VMs. Yes, one of the VMs. I think this one is BPKP. Their machine was managed by weak password. So that is possible, but only for one VM or one institution, not the whole hypervisor. So this was kind of the title was missing. Okay, concluding remarks. Okay, what are the lessons learned through this process? And I haven't heard people talk about this. I know they have done forensic, forensic to investigate the incident. I know that the forensic report or reports are not available for public consumption. That's understandable. But lesson learned. I think we have to talk about lesson learned, because this is important. Because otherwise we're going to get hit the same thing again. Now, many things are not clear still to me. How the intruder got in the first time, they got in and then disabled the Windows Defender and so on and so forth. Yeah, this is to me one of the biggest mystery. We should have learned from that so that others can learn from our mistakes, because this is expensive. So this is a kind of lessons that are expensive. Okay, now talk about Telkom Sigma. Telkom Sigma hosts other providers, other service providers, not only government institutions. And these are the clients. Their other clients are not hit, or were not hit, and are not hit by ransomware. So this is not reflecting Telkomsel Sigma credibility, in my opinion. This is my personal opinion. I'm not paid by Telkom Sigma and so on, but this is just one of their clients got hit. So this is specific to the PDNS, not to the the whole cloud system. So that's that. I guess it's already too long. As this is what I promised earlier. Okay. So that's that. I've delivered my promise. It's not as good as I wanted, but I'm busy. I just got home last night, so it's one of those hectic days. I could not make the video earlier because I was on the road. It's what's difficult. I don't have access to my configuration. My disk is full, and so on and so forth and so on. My apology. So I guess this is it. I need to work now and go back to my work. Okay. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye.